Hello, welcome Illumineers to Players Guild channel. My name is Loki and I am joined by our lovely guild master Scott.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Today we are breaking this down the 6 ink types in Disney's Lorcana. What is an ink type? Loki, take it away.
Ink type is a not classification, it's a color. It's a representation of what you want to do in your deck. We have 6 different types, each of them unique in what they want to do. And we're going to go on which color does it, which type does what, because
Mhm.
they're mostly named after uh,
Minerals.
jewels. Yes. You can mix up to 2 of them, so you choose
Mhm.
which way you want to take your deck.
I can be amber and amethyst, or I can be purely amber.
Yes, you can choose 1 or 2 as you build your deck. You can't choose more than 2. I wonder how it's going to work when we get multicolor.
That's going to be a very interesting topic for a very interesting time in Lorcana. But right now, let's start with the one I mentioned previously, and that is amber. So, amber glimmers are purposeful and they protect their friends at all costs. So this seems like it's going to be catered to a more defensive play style. Probably one that gains lore heavy rather than focusing on combat. Um, but we do have cards like Just in Time, which is an action card that lets you play a 5 or less from hand. So I think there's going to be some quite interesting synergies here. Um,
I
yeah,
think
Amber's
this
a
is going to
very
be more towards the characters that have higher willpower than strength. That's the feeling
yes.
I'm getting out of it.
Like they're defensive, they're not there to deal damage. They can deal damage, but that's not their primary factor,
Yes,
right?
they're there to stick around long enough to get you a lot of lore. I mean, just
Hmm.
seeing on the first character we have here that Lefu, I think,
Hmm.
which is a 2 drop that gets you 2 lore, which is a lot from what we've seen.
Yeah, and then if you have if you have Gaston in play, you pay 1 less for this character. So essentially, it's a 1 drop 2 law.
Yeah, which
Um,
which is a powerful. It's a powerful thing
and
to do.
I guess it's important to note here, right? And this comes into the deck building. Uh, I could have a Gaston that's in Amethyst, and this would still proc.
Yes, that's correct because it's checking for
Which
the
I
character,
think
not the color of the character. Yeah.
exactly. I think that opens up a lot of deck building and synergies, and that's what I'm more excited for, like in the future potential of this game. But right now, it's going to be limited in the beginning because there's not going to be a big card pool. And since I've just mentioned Amethyst, let's talk about Amethyst. If you want to break down Amethyst
Magical
for us,
amethyst glimmers use their powers to keep their options open, which makes me think this is mostly actions.
hmm? Actions and effects, right? I think.
Yes, and also we have Isma there, so I can't. Kronk, pull the lever.
So you're excused is her effect that we see there. Whenever this character quests, look at the top card of your deck, put it on, put it on either the top or bottom. So she scries when she laws, which is
Oh, so
actually
rather than
really
rather than
powerful.
an action oriented, they're draw oriented. Card
Mm,
selection and card advantage. Yeah,
yeah,
keeps the option open. You have more cards in hand.
yeah, which I think is awesome, right? That is Amethyst is going to be a good color to put in as a complementary color. I feel.
I feel that my deck is going to be Amethyst Sapphire
I could see that. I could see that.
because
Well,
that's
I mean,
very me.
since you mentioned Sapphire, let's go to Sapphire next,
Let's
which
go.
is the very blue looking colors. We've seen a lot from Beauty and the Beast, which really makes me excited because Belle looks amazing. I
Yeah,
really hope we
it's
see
a
some foil treatment.
steampunkish outfit for her, isn't there?
I really hope we see some more like foils full arts for this game. We
Yeah.
haven't seen anything like that yet, but so what does Sapphire cards do in
Brill-
general?
Brilliant Sapphire Glimmers find the best tool for the job, which makes me think items, a lot of items. But
Yes.
also from what we've seen is that Aladdin song that just puts the top card of your deck, doesn't matter if it's inkwell or not, and
Hmm.
put so if it can go into inkwell or not, and just puts it into your inkwell tapped, exerted. Sorry.
Yes. And again with this bell, which again really fond of her. Once she quests, you pay 1 less for the next item you play this turn,
Yeah, which
which
means
it's great.
you have a possibility to play a free item.
That is very true indeed. And of course
So,
the Robin Hood we've seen from the D23 cards, very cool card.
so this is all about. It's all about items and making your cards cheaper or making it easier to play cards. Which is kind of the idea I'm getting. But mostly towards the item, towards the cards that are non-interactable. Or less interactable. Because it's easy to interact with characters, right? Because you can just challenge them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Then a color that really has me excited is ruby, ruby. Ooh, that's a terrible joke. But we'll keep it in the edit. So ruby is the red color. It's daring ruby glimmers. Use speed and bravery to defy odds. That means we're going to probably see a lot of rush in ruby colors. And some decent stat lined characters as well. The glimmers we got here are Scar, which is a 5/3, which is very nice.
Why
For
is
only
Scar on
4.
fire?
Because he's a dream ball.
Okay.
He's consumed by the flames of ambition. And obviously we have Maleficent, which we've already seen from D23. D23. I want to say
D23, yeah.
D24. And I was like, D24 is not right.
So
7/5.
So, contrary to the Amber, this is bigger on the front and smaller on the back.
Yeah, it's the antithesis to that, right?
Yeah.
I think
they're all about controlling opponents' characters, I think, or what is it called? Characters, right?
Yeah, the characters are glimmers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if your opponent's, so for example, if Loki here is playing his very nice control deck and he's exerting a lot of his characters, I can then come in with my rush cards to try and deal with them, take them off the board so he can then next turn get more lore. And that's where the strategy and depth will come from in this game. And I'm very excited to see how it plays out. On paper, it seems like it's a control player's best dream. I think reality will say otherwise.
I think Rush is going to have too much of an advantage because if you get the correct curve, it's just fast decks are always going to be stronger.
I do like how they're costed, though, if that makes sense. So we've got the 4 here. And yes, the stats are very good for a 4 cost, at least what we can tell so far. But their lore that they get is next to nothing.
Yeah, it's very small.
You know what I mean? We're seeing cards that cost 1 that can quest for 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there is balance there because, again, the win con isn't attacking your opponent to defeat them. It's you questing and getting your lore.
Or... because there's a second win con.
Outweighting
your opponent and having them have empty deck.
That is true. And for that situation, you need a deck that can adapt, which seems like that's what Emerald's going for here. So flexible Emerald Glimmers, which is our green color, can adapt to overcome nearly every situation. So this is a bit more nebulous in terms of what it means. But from the cards they show, I think this is more of a balanced mix of cards, if that makes sense, right? Where they're maybe not going to have a lot of effects, but they're going to be relatively low cost, but with decent stats.
So what it makes me think of is Jack of all trades, master of none.
I think that is a very good explanation. That
they will be able to do bits and bobs of everything, kind of like a druid in Hearthstone, which is able to do a bit of everything. And then it has its own specialty, but just being able to do, maybe a conditional banishment, a conditional rush, only if you have a specific character, for example.
Yeah, I mean, you've got stuff like Corella, right? When she's challenged and banished, she comes back to hand, so it's reusing those assets.
There is that, yeah.
The Cheshire Cat, when it's banished, when this character is challenged and banished a challenging character.
That is scary.
Yeah, so 0/3 that costs 3, but
But it goes for 2 lore, and then when they want to remove it, via challenging.
Yes. It's interesting. So I think green could be a very cool, inspired deck to play around with. I'm excited, right? And plus also jumpers in green and anything to do with Lilo and Stitch, I'm all there for.
And then we have Steel.
Our last color, yeah. Steel's very interesting to me, but if you want to go ahead and break it down, our gray Steel.
So Steel is powerful glimmers rely on brute force to forge ahead, and that one I don't really understand how it's going to work in this game. Because what is the effect on Hercules?
It is Bodyguard. So this is a very interesting new keyword that we haven't seen before. Bodyguard, this character enters play exerted, so it comes in rest mode. An
Okay.
opposing character who challenges one of your characters must choose one with Bodyguard if able.
So it's a taunt slash ward slash.
Yeah, it's kind of a variety of the things, right? Because normally a taunt card, if it can be inactive, it'll say that. But like, it's like, no, you specifically coming in rest, and you're gonna get like free out of this.
So
I it's interesting.
it's interesting, but I'm trying to understand how the brute force. So it's a character heavy, maybe. That's
I
what
mean,
it is.
I
It's all about
remember
boosting your characters.
because I remember Captain Hook, right? We saw Captain Hook, which was Challenger +2. So when challenging, this character gets +2 strength.
Yeah, that sounds. So it's all about boosting your own characters. So yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oh, so thanks to Lorcana, big thanks to them because I've just got it up. We have Gantu as well. That's been recently revealed. A 6/6/8 cost. Under arrest. Characters with 2 or less can't challenge your characters. That could be huge.
But two or less what?
Uh, what? What do you mean?
Because you said characters that are two or less.
With cost 2 or less,
With cost two or less. Okay.
can't challenge your character. So the top left, if it says 2 or 1 or 0, they
Yeah.
can't attack your characters, which I think is huge. That Gantu.
That is a huge card against any sort of an aggressive strategy. Because let's
Yeah.
be honest, the aggressive strategy is going to be about putting as many bodies on board as possible.
And then the only other silver card we revealed, we do have an Aslan. Nope, that's not it. A Mustafa.
Mustafa.
But we've got no
Mufasa.
skills for him. Yeah.
Mufasa.
Um,
Or Mustafa.
did I just say Mustafa?
Yes.
Mufasa. You're right. You're right. It's because I've been watching wrestling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Okay.
everybody. I'm a fake fan. Tinkerbell. She has actually that's also an interesting one. So she's a free cost 2/4, but she has something called battle plans, which is her effect, and it actually does say to exert it on her. Draw a card and choose a card and discard it. So nice cycle effect on it.
Yeah. It's not a card advantage, it's card selection, but it's still good.
Yeah, so steel could be very interesting. Steel, I think, is going to be the more tech-based. Like that's the color you include to try and trip up your opponents.
Yeah.
I can very much see being like, oh, the meta is this, therefore I'm gonna counter build with putting steel cards in my deck.
That's one thing that I tend to see is it doesn't feel like the meta is going to be very set due to the freedom of deck building.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, right? And you can't overlook the fact that it's going to be very kid friendly, so the complexity might not be there for some people. But I think there, like on paper, there's a lot here to play around with, right? I think, given the cards we've seen, knowing who are developers and developing, like everything seems to be pointing in the direction that they want this to succeed. It's Disney; they can put as much money behind it as they want. And especially if we manage to get hold of the developers at UK Games Expo, we are going to be focused on that player environment because we are Players Guild. We are players of games. Yes, collectors are going to have a field day and power to them, especially if there's nice holos and full art and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, it's a nice variety of play styles. There's definitely room within these colors to play differently as well. And there's also room for more colors to be added with different playstyles as well, if that's a direction they want to go.
One thing that worries me is 6 colors is a lot.
It is a lot.
In the first set, worries me that they might go into a pitfall that we have seen already happen.
It's possible.
You know what I'm talking about here?
I'm yes.
Yeah. So we hopefully they are careful with their design. But on the flip side, it might be impossible to do a single color decks. Technically, you only need 15 different cards, I guess.
Right, I was gonna say that based on the numbers you can have in your deck, and then also like I feel like Amethyst Broom, like I think that's gonna be fine to run mono because like you've got the draw engine in there, and to be fair, there's
not seen the cards. Don't know what to say.
To be fair, yeah, that's fair. But even then, right? Like even if your option is like, okay, well I need a few more cards, that's where I could see the going into Steel and Ruby just for those powerful actions.
Mm.
Especially Ruby, right? You just go, okay, well I'm running 4 of the removal
Yeah, well, splash in
because
red
that
for
doesn't
removal.
require. Yeah, you know. So I think that's cool. I think that's cool. Really excited. Can't wait to see more cards. Hopefully the reveals keep coming at a more faster pace now. Now that the cat's out the bag, so to speak, the Cheshire Cat is out the bag.
But it's
Um,
still about 4.5 months until the release.
August, yeah, August is going to be a very exciting month here on the channel. We'll be covering things up until that point. We're probably going to get some TTS gameplay in, and fingers crossed we get accepted into the ambassador program, which we've applied for as well. Yeah, any final closing thoughts, Loki, before we get on to our next?
I think that this game, especially after we looked through the different inks, looks more promising than I thought.
And I think that's a good place there to be at right now, right? Cautiously optimistic,
Yeah,
but there's a lot of depth and potential to explore it. And again, I as someone who loves playing games and really am searching for that next generation of card game to bring in a whole new wave of card game players, I think this could be it, honestly. Like, as much as Digimon is very casual and very new player friendly, you can't beat an IP like Disney.
that's the
And
thing. I think this is going to create that shake up in the top three finally.
it's going to be a gateway, if nothing else. And yes, there's going to be people like me and you who will play in this event, and lots of adults who do play in this event. But we've seen it with Pokemon, right? They will, if there is that demand for kids and adults, they will just split them into different divisions.
Yeah,
And I think,
there is definitely something in there, and I am definitely looking forward to, at worst, witnessing how the game develops.
yeah. And at best, we have a brand new contender for one of the top 3. Let us know, guys. Do you think Disney Lorcana has the potential to be one of the top 3? And we'll see you in our next video. We are Players Guild. Welcome to the guild.
Bye.